The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik. Thank you for joining us. That's right, we are going to go forth and entertain, inform, and even inspire. That's right, here on show number 465. Thank you for joining us. Simply go to stewart.com/radio. That's right, stewart.com/radio, because you're not going to only just want to hear this show. You can see it on the YouTube channel by going to stewart.com/radio. In addition, you will find past shows there for the last couple of years. But let's get down to business right now. We have tremendous guests. And one of our guests, we're going to start off, he is Marty Langton. He is the president of the Houston Professional Firefighters Association and the local 341 union. Firefighting is so important. We have real estate, commercial, and residential. The firefighters do a tremendous job day in, day out, even when we're sleeping, helping us protect our property. Marty, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. 465 sounds like a very lucky number, so I'm going to take it. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for your service. Anybody, the first responders listening, firefighters, police, veterans, we appreciate them so much, and we appreciate you being here to represent them, the firefighters.
It means a lot for you guys to have us here. Thank you.
Well, let's tell people, first of all, we think about Houston firefighters, men and women that are serving daily. And when we say Houston firefighters, how big an area geographically does that encompass, and about how many people are serving?
Well, it's a very large geographic area. It's about 650 square miles. The Houston Fire Department is the third largest municipal fire department in the nation.
In the nation?
In the nation. You've got New York, Chicago, then Houston. We cover a very, very large area. We're one of the busiest, of course, in the nation, but clearly in the state. And our men and women go out there and do amazing work every single day. And we have and should have a force of minimum about 4,100. Unfortunately, we're about 400 firefighters short as we speak. So they're doing way more with way less. And the men and women give it their all every day, and they respond to the citizens on their worst day.
And one of the things we talk about on this show, especially with realtors, that there are so many, and others, so many people coming to Houston. I'm curious, are any of the people coming from other states becoming firefighters by chance?
Well,
sounds like we need them.
We do. Well, typically there's a lot of issues going on with the city, but typically what we see is people come to Texas. They come to Houston. We've seen a significant increase in the amount of calls, the demand for service, and right now we're very short. So if anybody out there is coming from a different state and is certified and wants to come over to the Houston Fire Department, we can use you. They're running in 2010. We had approximately 4,100 firefighters running about 225,000 calls a year, which is a lot. In 2023 right now, we've got about 3,650, and we're running close to 500,000. They're doing more with less, but they took an oath to protect the citizens, and they're going to keep doing it.
Okay, so for last year, 2022, how many calls did we have? When we say calls, that's when someone calls, my house is on fire,
so
my building.
Right. We also run, we're certified in EMS, so we have fire, EMS, rescue, hazmat, all of those calls, what the Houston Fire Department runs. And the demand for service is just exponentially greater than it was a decade ago. And so imagine not having enough realtors to sell the houses. You've got more houses for sale. Stewart Title needing to close more sales, but they don't have the people to do it. So we're a demand service. When you call 911 on your worst day, you expect and want the best, and you want them there quickly.
And the role of the firefighter, you kind of mentioned a little bit of where I wanted to go in that, yes, we think about the firefighter, a home catches on fire, someone calls, a building, a business catches on fire, but many times we see the fire trucks on the side of the highway, vehicle accidents, and you mentioned EMS. Tell us a little bit about those other not-so-obvious roles, perhaps.
Well, the 911 system, the emergency response system, the fire department is interconnected. And so everybody in the Houston Fire Department is cross-trained in EMS, and then we have some advanced level EMS providers, but they're all firefighters. So they ride on the fire trucks, they ride on the ambulances, and we need the services and the equipment that are on the fire trucks to say if somebody's in a car wreck, and that's a very bad one, and they're what we call pinned in, and we need to extricate them. We need to get them out. You have to have the manpower, the resources, and the capabilities in which to do that. And Houston being so large, I mean, this happens over 1,000, 1,100 calls a day for service. And sometimes when you get dispatched, you don't get dispatched knowing exactly what the emergency is. But when you get there, you realize you need a heck of a lot more units to mitigate the risk.
So at some point, the call goes to the, quote, firehouse. Is that still right? So it goes to a firehouse nearby where they determine it's going to be, where they can be best served by this particular firehouse. So what happens? They get a call. Do they go down the fire pole and jump in the fire trucks, or is that like the movies?
No, hey, listen, any firefighter will tell you Backdraft is it's still a good movie. Everybody loves to teach the rookies. But the firehouses that do have fire poles, they still slide down them. Nowadays, they've kind of phased that out a little bit. But we still have fire stations that have poles, and the men and women very good at sliding down them.
I have to ask, are any Dalmatians on the team?
I've always long advocated that we should bring those back. Apparently,
okay.
The Dalmatians created some problems when they would just to get out at night and go hang out with the other dogs of the neighborhood. So.
Well, this may be random, but as I was thinking about this interview this morning, walking my dogs, by the way, I was thinking in my generation, I don't know what happens now, but for young men, little boys, in fact, one of the things we got as toys, one of the first things was a fire truck.
Right.
And I remember I had a fire truck, and I started thinking about why that might be. And I thought one of the elements could be is that people, some of us, want to be able to help people.
Right.
And early on, even as little kids, we have that, like even a Superman, a hero we see. We want to be a hero. And being a fireman as a little boy, that's one of your outlets to say, hey, I want to go help somebody, but it was cool to have the little fire truck. Did you have a fire truck,
Absolutely.
Marty?
I don't know any boy or girl, for that matter, would turn around on a fire truck when they see it. You see firefighters and you realize.
Pull the ladder up to your.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whatever. As we got older and they got more technology on those toys. But the reality is that we live to serve. We take an oath to protect, and that's what we do. And one of the greatest quotes I ever saw, it was after 9/11. It was a victim that survived, and it was a quote that you can still find it online, and it said, one of the most amazing things that I am paraphrasing was that when I was walking down the World Trade Center, I knew where I was going, and when I looked down, I saw firefighters marching up. I knew where I was going, and I didn't know that he knew where he was going, but he didn't miss one step.
Well, firefighters have opportunities to be heroic, and they are. One of the things I think that's different about Houston and maybe other places, but here it is so hot.
It is.
Just before you even get near a fire, the firefighter, and even policemen for that matter, they wear all that stuff on their belt. But when the firefighter puts on their gear, it's got to be extra hot with this humidity. And then they go in to a fire and near a fire.
Yeah, there's nothing about summer times in Houston that I think any Houston firefighter will tell you is great. Although, you put on gear. You don't even have to put on the gear. You're already sweating when you walk out.
Exactly.
So, it takes, your body's kind of accustomed. You have to in essence, train your body, if you will. But it is hot. It is grueling work. And it is things and situations and environments that the general public would never want to be in.
Well, as homeowners and business owners and
Yes.
realtors and everybody listening to these words, what are some of the things that we can do? And many of them are obvious. Don't leave a candle burning. I mean, I don't know how to stop an electric fire or to prevent one, but knowing what you know and seeing what you've seen all these years, and your experience goes decades, but what can we do as homeowners and business owners to prevent fires at our homes and businesses?
Well, first
That's
and foremost,
not so obvious,
first, listen, you would think it's a no-brainer, but having smoke detectors to notify you is a huge thing. We think they're there, and then we realize that there's not a battery or it's not hardwired into the home. The second part is always have an escape plan. Always know what you're doing, regardless of if you've been in this office, for instance, 465 times. The realities are that it's always good to have a plan to practice, because when time comes that something happens, it's muscle memory. You're going to remember it. And you think you're going to remember something when an emergency happens, but I'm here to tell you, when things are chaotic around you and when you least expect it, well, that's when emergencies happen. And if you're not ready and prepared, it's going to make it that much more difficult.
So any individual, any family, small or large, have a family meeting, even
Absolutely.
with your 3 and 6-year-olds, to say, hey, in an emergency, we're going to do this. We're going to go out that door. We're going to grab this and get out.
Absolutely.
And, have a fire extinguisher or 2 around. That's one of the things I just recently purchased. I thought, I'm going to get some of those fire extinguishers just in case, right?
It's always good to have those. You never know. And it does not matter how young the child is. I mean, of course, when they can start to understand what it means to work on a plan, but continue to practice it because, listen, we see it every day. The people we experience, we tell them it's an insurance policy that you never want to cash having the fire department. When it's your time and when something happens, again, you're not expecting to call 911 and you're not expecting the emergency to happen. Otherwise, you kind of would have been prepared for it. So planning ahead is the best tool. Having fire extinguishers, having smoke detectors, but also talking about it. Just having this discussion right now, it refreshes people's memory.
And, of course, plan for the pets. You grab the dog,
Absolutely.
grab the cat, wherever it is.
And I will say grab the children first, then the pets. Yeah.
Okay, we're talking to Marty Langton. He's the president of the Houston Professional Firefighters Association and Local 341. Marty, give us an idea. As I look, first of all, one of the things that came up is what you do as a pastime. You're a major Houstonian.
Yes.
You're involved in the sports, but give us a quick word on your background, please. I mean,
Well,
because it's very impressive. We could take 5 hours, but
I'm going to take you everywhere with me. This is very kind of you. Listen, I'm born and raised in Houston. I love it. I live here. And growing up in this city, it's exactly what you said. I knew at a young age that I wanted to live a life of service. I wanted to serve people. And there is no better way, in my opinion, to serve others than to, join the force, join the ranks. And elected to represent the men and women is one of the highest privileges of my life. I take it very seriously. They go out there every day to put their lives on the line, and they want to answer that call. And it's our job to make sure they're protected.
And Marty, before we close this segment, is there a website people can go to learn more? And even if we might have touched somebody that has moved to Houston that has the credentials and wants to join the team, what should they do?
There's a couple different places you can go. If you want to visit our charitable foundation website, it's houstonsbravest.org. If you want to Google City of Houston Fire Department careers, it'll come up with a website where it'll tell you all the information to join, or you can go to our website and learn about our association, local341.org.
Local341.org. We also want to thank our good friend. You mentioned Houston's Bravest. She is right here in the room, Elizabeth Stein, doing tremendous work, and you talk about serving. Is there anyone that's doing more to help firefighters and others right here in Houston, Texas? And we're glad she brought you here today.
First of all, she is the boss, the queen, the most amazing woman, and I'm not saying it because she's sitting here. She is remarkable in every respect. We are lucky to have her.
I will toast to that, absolutely. In fact, the one show we were on, one of the firefighters called her when it was airing. He was on the way to an arson investigation with his dog. Did you hear about that?
I didn't, but it's not surprising. Everybody loves Elizabeth because she has truly put others before herself, and we wouldn't be here without her.
She has a lot of connections, too. Again, the website is
local341.org.
Thank you so much, Marty Langton.
If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Stewart Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
As we continue, it's now time to talk to amazing Amalia and Tracy Dillon. They are with the Perotti Group right here in Houston, Texas. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Yay! Thank you so much, Bill.
Thank you so much for having us.
And what a fine group you are, here to talk real estate with us. First of all, ladies, let's tell people, the Perotti Group, tell us all about it. You're Amalia Perotti, so let's start with you.
Yes. The Perotti Group is, it's divided into two sections. We are buyers and sellers agents. As well, we provide services for the investors Investors is what I'm in charge of. I think that Tracy can explain a little bit more of the buyer and sellers side of the business.
So that's right. So you're helping buyers and sellers, right, Tracy?
Absolutely.
Let's tell people, as far as, do you work in an area of focus geographically, or how do you approach the market? Because Houston's a pretty big place.
Houston's pretty big. For the most part, I go where my clients need me. Predominantly, our business is more so out in Katy, Cypress, but I go all the way down to Spring Tomball. I've sold in Conroe. I go where my clients need me.
And give us an idea at this time, let's say for buyers, especially buyers, the marketplace as you see it in your dealings here in the last couple of months. How do you find in the marketplace right now?
Well, I think that the market is definitely balancing out. It's always a good time to buy as well as sell. It's based on your perspective. I mean, there's always someone that's needing to buy, and there's always someone that's going to need to sell.
And we're hearing now, especially for the buyer, that if I'm a buyer, there's more selection now than, say, 8 months ago or so. That's true?
Absolutely, absolutely. Homes are definitely there's more available inventory on the market now than there has been in the past. In the past, we've seen houses flying off in less than 10 days, and now they're staying on a little longer. But it's still a great time to sell, and definitely for buyers, there are way more incentives than there have been in the past.
And also,
I'm sorry, Bill,
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
I would say this is the opportunity to go out there and look for a house and negotiate as much as you need.
So
I
it
think
sounds
it's
a
an
good
opportunity.
good time to buy, huh?
Yes, yes.
Well, let the word go forth, everybody, and they could call your team right up and buy a home very easily, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, when you mention incentives, now, first thing I thought about is new construction. In the new construction part of things, are there incentives at the builders? I'm hearing there might be some incentives out there for buyers.
Absolutely. They are giving tons of cash away, striking prices on properties, as well as giving incentives such as, like, your washer, dryer, fridge, things that they weren't giving in the past.
Upgrades, yeah.
That sounds good. Sign me up.
But I think even on the resale properties, there's motivated sellers.
Yeah.
So they're looking to say, okay, now I'm willing to give you some warranty here or willing to pay, some of the closing costs where
Home warranty
6 months
maybe,
ago, there was not even an option for us to do that. But I think that it's just a little bit more opportunity out there.
Well, let me tell you guys, when you came in the studio, you're delightful. You're so exciting, energetic. I want to ask you both the same question, but we'll start with Amazing Amalia. First of all, I love that. How do you not say Amazing Amalia? However, first thing I would say, of all the things you could be doing, Amazing Amalia, how is it real estate? What is it you love about real estate that gets you smiling like this all the time, I think?
I feel like I found a career, not only a job. I found passion. I am super passionate about doing real estate, and also I have grown, educated myself to develop more tools that benefit the public, which is one of the most important things. And these are the reasons why I stay here, because I love educating. I did not know that before, but until I started doing this, that's when I found passion to actually educate others, and not just public, our leaders, our team, much more that I can would think of.
Well, it's always exciting to be to know that we're on the right path, and then also find some additional things along that same path that are part of what we can do and want to do. Sounds like you found it. And as far as Tracy Dillon, what is it you love so much about real estate? And why do you love being a real estate professional in this dynamic Houston, Texas market?
Well, that's what I love the most, the fact that it is such a dynamic industry. It's very versatile. You meet people from all walks of life. You're making dreams come true that some don't even think it's possible. No transaction is the same. It's an industry where you're constantly learning, and you literally get out what you put in.
Kind of along the same lines. Here we are, 2023. We're already a big start on it. I mean, it's almost the first quarters in a way is almost over. But in any case, we're well into 2023. Give us an idea, Amalia, of your outlook for the future of 2023? What are you seeing, and what kind of, when you
I
have,
see success, but I'm a very optimistic person. So I would say I will always see the most positive things about anything that happens. So even if it wasn't going so great, I think that we have to see all the other perspective. Economy is going up. Yes, things are getting expensive, but also it's bringing our income up. It's going to bring our development in Texas. I mean, Houston by itself, there's a lot of people who are moving here from other states that are larger. I mean, still the economy here is way cheaper than anything else in the U.S. And I think that we are so privileged to be here in Houston because I still continue to see more development, more growth. And this can take us, to be the top three biggest city in the U.S. So I see positive.
we're talking with amazing Amalia Tracy Dillon, the Perotti Group. And one of the things, as you're saying that in an eloquent way, and that is, if you're involved in a team, I think I want someone positive like Amalia on my team. I mean, for some reason, I was ever down in the morning and I'm on the team. I said, well, I better get an Amalia check and just have her.
Amalia and some coffee.
That sounds a way to go. And as you look at 2023, Tracy, I mean, you make your plans. Again, you get, like you said, you get what you put into it. So that means you have to have a plan. And as you plan for the year as it unfolds, give us an idea of some of the things you think about to be able to serve those buyers and sellers in a tremendous way.
Well, that's what I love, the fact that I am a part of the Perotti Group and I am on a team. We are absolutely set up for success at all times. We focus on educating to empower ourselves, which in turn allows us to empower and educate our clients. We train to excel. We develop long-lasting relationships, and we always plan to succeed. We have a system in place where we have 5 activities that we focus on. And by being able to execute those activities, we are definitely in a position to consistently win.
That sounds good. That I'd almost want to hear it again if we had more time. However, that was beautiful. That's like 47 years ago. That was incredible. You gave that some thought. Let's change gears a little bit. We'll remind people, you're helping buyers and sellers. Anybody that's out there that wants to reach out to you, we're going to give them your information in a second. However, there's another organization. Busy people, successful people are also involved in the community and helping people in their own profession enter the WCR. Let's tell people about that.
Yes, WCR is the Women Council of Realtors. I started WCR in 2019, encouraged by another successful woman who inspired me to get involved. But when I came in, I thought maybe I was going to give something back to the community of my realtors, and I ended up gaining so much more. And they definitely stand by their mission and their vision. And I'll tell you a little bit. Their mission is, we are a network of successful realtors advancing women as business leaders in the industry, in the communities that we serve. And the vision of this women are, the Women Council of Realtors is recognized as the voice for women in real estate and the prime source for the development of leaders in the industry, organized real estate and beyond, which brings me back to everything that I have learned in the Women Council, being so successful not only in leadership but also in my business, because it brings me back, anything that I have learned from them brings me back to how can I improve my business. And even my husband, who is the main leader of this brokerage, he is very encouraging to us to develop new leadership skills, to develop more education, always go more and beyond, because there's much more that we don't know, and everything in the industry changes at all times. So we must be educated and updated and, in track. And the Women Council does that for you in a lot of ways. I mean, we were just in the Winters meeting, and the Realtors Winter meeting, and that's a big thing for our relationship. So it just increases us and take us to the next level and allows us to benefit others, the public, change things that make a huge impact in the industry that we are serving.
And you mentioned your husband, but didn't mention his name. So let's put his name.
Alfonso Perotti with the Perotti Group.
I understand
At
he's
Realty Associates. I am his wife.
You're his wife. I understand he's a regular listener, right, to the show?
Yes, sir. I'm still his wife.
And he's happy about that, no doubt. And Tracy Dillon, you're also you work with the WCR as well, right?
Yes, I am the president for the Great Northwest Network.
Well, congratulations. And how long does the presidency title run? How long will that run?
A year.
And when did that start? Just recently?
Yes, this past December.
We have a lot of work to do.
We do. We have some great events coming up. And you can find those, or listeners can follow at WCREvents.com.
And also, let's tell people there are several chapters, of the networks
yes.
of the WCR.
Yes.
Which one are you guys representing?
Great Northwest.
The Great Northwest.
But believe it or not, a lot of the things that people do not know is that we have 9 networks in Houston, 22 networks in Texas, and 225 U.S.-wide.
And men can be part of the WCR.
Men can be part. Please join us.
I want to be part of the Great North
Yes,
with you guys.
thank
Okay,
you.
sign me up. Okay, before we close the segment, Amalia, let's tell people what else do you want them to know and how can they reach you?
I think that if you have something, if you're looking to buy, looking to sell, looking to invest in real estate, or you're a realtor, we have two of our systems that we created, which is the get224.com and 12by12rei.com. One is to encourage and develop more leadership in the realtors, and the 12by12rei is for those who are looking to invest in real estate.
And how can they reach you?
They can find us in social media, or they can find us at theperottigroup.com. Also, our number is 281-645-9227. 281-645-9227.
And Tracy, what else do you want people to know before we close this segment?
Well, you can find me at tracysellstexas@gmail.com, or you can give me a call at 832-584-6916, or you can also email me at tracy@theperottigroup.com.
And your phone number again is?
832-584-6916.
And ladies, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Bill. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As we continue, let's talk property tax with the property tax superhero, Ali Galan, with American Property Tax Service. Ali, welcome to the show.
Thank you again for having me for the, I don't know how manyth time, but it's always a pleasure.
Well, on Real Estate Matters, your first time to be here in the new studio, so it's time to have you here. And we tell people, first of all, taxes. Houston has a reputation on residential real estate to have, quote, higher property taxes than elsewhere. But let's tell people some of the things they need to know about the residential, and you focus, however, on commercial real estate. However, you know about everything. So give us a word.
Well, a lot of people are, voicing their opinion on that their taxes are too high. Well, the property tax code basically goes off of market value. So you're going to be taxed based on where you live. The entities, the taxing entities and jurisdictions in which you live in are going to be taxing you based on your market value. And because Houston has been so dynamic, the values are going up, the home prices are going up, and guess what? Your property taxes are going up. But there's a lot of there's different avenues that you can explore to decrease the burden of property tax.
One of the things, in fact, in the Wall Street Journal, there was an article I wanted to bring you, but they also addressed not from Houston necessarily, but nationwide, how people can address their property taxes. But correct me if I'm wrong, if we think they're too high, we have the ability to protest. But what are the guidelines? Sometimes we should, and sometimes we should not. Well, when should we not protest, let's say?
Okay, so the easiest way is this. It's a pretty simple formula. For example, if your house, they have it valued at $300,000, and my first question to my prospective client is, would you sell me the house for $300,000? And they say, no way, I wouldn't sell it for you for anything less than $350,000. So I tell them, I said, well, then your property taxes are pretty much okay. Yeah, you're in the win. There's no reason to protest. unless you know of something that's, wrong with your home, or like there's more foreclosures in your neighborhood than anywhere else. So I usually just ask them, I say, hey, what would you sell your house to me for? And they say about, 350, 375. And I said, well, they've got you at 300. So that should be, you should be okay. Now, when should you protest your property taxes? Well, when it's the other way around. Let's say you just bought the home for $300,000 and the county has you at $375,000. Well, of course, it's obvious. You need to go in there and protest it and get it reduced. Of course, once you do that, if you're living in the home, you can also qualify for a homestead exemption.
You're younger than me. When you were a young fella, did you have a fire truck?
I'm still young.
Well, I mean, like a little boy, like 9 or 10.
Of course.
That must have been a thing. I don't know. With
everyone
the fire
grows
trucks.
up wanting to be either a police officer or a
Astronaut.
firefighter.
I want to be an astronaut.
No one grows up to be a property tax consultant.
You didn't. So when you were 7, you didn't say, "This is my destiny."
But
your dad did.
My dad did, and
He said, "Ali, this is your calling."
Whether you like it or not.
But look how well it's worked for you.
It has. It's worked very well. Been very successful at what we're doing. We're helping people get their property taxes under control, their burden under control. That way, they can, if it's a business, they can be more profitable. If they are just a family, a little extra spending money at the end of the year.
And let's hit the businesses, because here in Houston, boy, everywhere we look, looking out the window right now, probably looking at just in our view, 2,000 businesses, 1,500 just that are represented in these offices. But you're helping business owners, people that own their buildings, that where the dollars are higher, you're helping them save on their property tax.
Correct. Office buildings, hotels, medical offices, you name it, shopping centers, from Class D shopping centers all the way to Class A shopping centers, where, the sky is the limit.
And these buildings are in the multi-million-dollar range.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And actually, those are the hearings that are actually the easiest to do, because they just go off of rent, basically their income, less expenses. So we do what's called an income approach to value.
I would say there's less emotion involved in this.
Yeah, the numbers are where they are. We get an affidavit, we get we get their income, and we get their expenses, and we have a secret formula that we came up with to give us a very good indication of what market value should be for that property.
And many times these people that own, and companies that own the large buildings and hotels and things like that, they need help on their own multi-million-dollar home in many cases.
Yes,
so you're there as well.
It's funny that you mentioned that.
No, it's not funny. I planned that. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, because I'll have a property owner that owns about 3 or 4 shopping centers,
Right.
maybe an office building or 2, and then I'll get one call on all those properties from him. Yet I'll get 7 or 8 calls about his house. This is wrong with my house. That's wrong. I need this repair, that repair. My neighbor, is just awful. They're going to build a new high-rise behind my house.
That's right.
And just all kinds of stuff that, that the new 5G tower just went up, 2 doors down from me. I hate it. I'm going to grow a third eyeball in the middle of my forehead. All kinds of complaints.
It's funny. I had a friend that she said that at her home they're putting in some kind of 5G or some kind of pole. Can they do that? They're putting it in her front yard, and she's calling me. I'm like, how can I help you?
There is an easement which allows, anytime you go and put a swimming pool in, or a basketball court, or, I don't know, whatever. When you pull up a survey, you'll see those easement lines, and any utility has access to that. And if the 5G pole was there before you purchased it, you knew what you were getting into, okay? You should have asked for a discount, or you should have made it very clear. Now, if it's going in after the fact, absolutely. Yes, it's a canker sore. It's something that you're going to see every single day when you pull out of the driveway and leave. It could possibly affect your health. We don't know enough about it yet to know that, is it safe or not? All I know is that
it's an eyesore.
Yeah, it's definitely an eyesore.
So things that around the home, around the business, can enhance or detract from the value of the property, basically put, right?
Living in a school zone can also destroy your property value. Yes.
Well, and now the flip side, on that same note, I remember having a home and being in a school or a certain school zone was very profitable when it came time to sell that house. So there's so many factors at play in real estate.
There's that. Also, that you're trying to back out of your garage at 8 o'clock in the morning, or out of your driveway, and there's a long line of cars, and you're basically stuck until about 8:30. Yeah. So, there's all kinds of, goods and bads. The goods are, people drive a little slower in front of your house. Your kid can just walk to school. But if you're elderly and you don't there's no reason for you to be next to a school. And I mean, these things can all affect it.
All right. Well, let's tell us. We're talking with Ali Galan, American Property Tax Service, the property tax superhero. Let's tell people any important dates that they should know as regarding their residential property taxes.
Yes. So May 15th is the deadline to file.
That's coming up.
That's coming up. Yeah. Not March, but May. The state of Texas has a Texas property tax code, right? So about 90% of the notices will go out well before then, and you'll have a chance to, protest. The state of Texas property tax code also says, or 30 days after you receive your notice. So some people receive their notice in September. Some receive it in November. They'll have 30 days in which to protest, basically send the form back saying, I disagree with my market value and I'd like to have a chance to protest it.
Okay, so that's one date out
That's
of the
one
year.
major date. That's the
You get busy
most
around that
important
time.
date. Yeah, I stopped taking calls around the beginning of May.
Right. That's why I don't have to call you, right? We're on automatic. So in the meantime, the other date that's important has already gone by for this year.
Right.
Because we get those where it's not as part of our mortgage, those that pay our property taxes, when we get the property tax bill like I do, I get the bill, I pay it by the end of December. However, on the bill it says it must be paid by the end of January 31st the following year. I always pay it in that year. However, if someone does not pay or is late paying by the January 31st of the following year, next year, 2024, what happens? That's
On
bad.
February 1st, basically penalties and interest kick in.
And
then
they're sizable too.
The 7%, and that it adds up. So that's not also that date just doesn't signify the last day to pay your property tax. That date also signifies the last day to file a correction motion. So if you missed that May 15th deadline to protest your house, then you're wondering, oh my God, what am I going to do? My value is way too high. Well, there's another deadline that's January 31st or prior. And you must pay your taxes on the undisputed amount. So I'll give you an example. They say they have your value at $500,000. Well, you clearly paid $350,000 for it. Well, you send your payment in of the taxes based on the $350,000, and you're entitled to that hearing. But if you wait and pay February 1st, you are no longer entitled to that hearing. It's done and gone. There's another avenue that is set up just in case you miss your original deadline.
Okay, so many things to know. We've just touched the surface. One of the things I'm thinking of, too, is that a lot of realtors in this profession, a lot of realtors own a home, but a lot of them own other properties, rental properties, Airbnb properties. So I don't even want to be in that boat where I'm worrying about property taxes for multiple houses. But many people do. All the more reasons they need an expert like you or someone else. So let's tell people your contact information. You are Ali Galan.
Yeah, I'm with American Property Tax Service, Houston, and we're located, our office is in Stafford, Texas, and our phone number is 281-240-0101, and you'll hear instructions come on how to reach any one of us at our extensions. And again, that number is 281-240-0101.
Thank you so much for being with us.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827, stewartinsurance.com. That's stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is, once again, with a super insurance segment, John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance.
Always a pleasure, Bill.
Here we are, John, another insurance segment. Like water under the bridge, we're knocking these insurance segments out. I hope people are going to stewart.com/radio to pick up on the information as it's presented and then to review it, because this is information that needs review sometimes.
Well, it is, and we always appreciate the opportunity to be part of Real Estate Matters and appreciate the opportunity to be a partner with Stewart Title to bring these great shows to our listeners. What did we say, 465 today? So that's
unbelievable.
That's fantastic.
And each show is different, and especially our business development people like Martha Palmer here today bringing the Perotti Group. I mean, they bring forth people that are in the real estate world that are just incredible and just bring a new light to some of the same old questions I ask every week.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of the show is there's always things to learn.
Exactly.
There's always new topics or new ways to look at an existing challenge or new ways to address an issue. And so it's always a great content.
And the firefighters, I mean, sometimes I forget, but they're out there helping. And fortunately, I don't see a lot of house fires, but I have seen several in the last several years, and it's heartbreaking to think what people go through when they get a house fire.
Well, it really is, but that's the beauty of having, the firefighters that we have in Houston, that we don't see them because they do such a good job.
And we thank them once again
Yes.
if you're out there listening. And John, here we are, insurance, it's part of real estate.
It is, and I wanted to thank the listeners and the guests that we've had that have allowed Stewart Title to be, the stewards of their real estate transaction, or they've allowed Stewart Insurance to work with them to make sure that they are properly insured. And our BDOs and our escrow officers, our insurance advisors and client service representatives, they all strive and have to be and have an obligation to be great listeners. And I came across this wonderful article in the business section of the Houston Chronicle that reinforced the idea of being a good listener and what does that mean. And I thought I'd share it today with the office or with our listeners. That there was some really interesting research that was done by Medium.com, which is a relatively new website, and they focus on new and different creative ways of looking at thinking. And then the other resource was University of the People, which is a kind of a unique setup where there's some pretty open educational opportunities that can allow people that maybe can't afford a formal continuing education to do so through University of the People. But it was really some great learning. And the first thing that they talked about is there is a difference between listening and hearing. That hearing we just do naturally. Sounds, our ears, we pick it up. Listening actually takes some mental action. You've got to do some mental calisthenics to truly be able to listen. So that was the first thing they talked about. And then the second would be this idea of active versus passive listening. So if you're in the house and you have the radio on and you're fixing dinner or cleaning or doing something around the home, you're probably passively listening to the radios. But if you're having a conversation with someone, whether it just be a friend or a family, or you're an advisor with Stewart Insurance and we're working with one of our clients or prospective clients, we need to be an active listener. There's an aspect of a direct mental focus that we need to be focused on. What are those words coming from the person that we're speaking with, and what are they trying to convey? So it truly is a focused, active activity. It's not something you can do passively.
So important. In fact, that's one of the, and a lot of us that think we're actively listening, and especially people that have trouble with focus, like me, sometimes you think you're listening, but you're really not. Like even on this show, when I hear people, I'm talking to them, I hear the show later, I'm hearing something I didn't hear because I might have been thinking about, the cameras or some of these other things. So, yeah, having that special focus, it's a good reminder for all of us.
Well, it is, and the article was really good about sharing some reminders about ways that we can be more active listeners. The first one is, and it's the easiest one to remember and the hardest one to do, is not to interrupt. It's to listen to understand versus listening to respond. And that's really difficult. It's easy to say, but it can be really difficult to do, that you really need to take the time to make sure that when I'm listening to what Bill's saying, I'm listening to what Bill's saying versus thinking about how I'm gonna respond. Summarizing what you've heard, so that provides some confirmation that you've understood the message, but also find some clarity about where the person you're speaking with is trying to go. Eye contact and nodding, one, it just shows some respect, but it also, from a physiological perspective, engages you with the individual. So if I'm looking at you and having a conversation, it's going to be much easier for me to be active is if I'm having a conversation with you and I'm just kind of swinging back and around, or I'm looking off into the distance. And that's really challenging if you think about it with the Zoom meetings or the Microsoft Team meetings that we have these days, the staying focused on the person on the screen that's speaking, versus looking off or working on an email. So that makes it even more, more challenging. Asking questions is always helpful because then that goes back to that clarification and making sure that we're understanding the person and what they're trying to accomplish. Observe their body language because that's going to give you an idea of what they're trying to tell you. If their energy and their body language and all is moving forward, you could see that's something that they may be passionate about. If they're maybe quieter or they're leaning back, it could be something that is a challenge for them. So that can kind of give us some hints about.
Like when the Perotti group was on too
Yeah,
late.
yes.
Where they were passionate. We saw that.
Absolutely.
We heard it.
Absolutely. And you could tell that they cared about what they did and who they
Absolutely.
did it for. I'll go back to number one, wait to talk. And make sure that somebody's finished. So again, it's that listening to understand versus listening to respond. Number 7 is John's. So this was not in the article, but I'm going to throw this one out.
As a bonus.
As a bonus, there we go. If the opportunity presents itself, take notes. Take notes. Because what that does is it strengthens your recall, but it also demonstrates your interest. You're truly showing them that I care because I'm making sure that I capture what you'd like. And then the last one they shared, and I think we've got to be careful about this, that it doesn't become about us and it remains about the person we're speaking to. But if appropriate, share a similar experience because then that could build some relationships. That could strengthen the fact that I did understand what you said because I've kind of had that experience too. But what you've got to be careful about is you don't jump in and say, well, I did the same thing
it's
one
about
time.
me. Yeah, you have to watch. There's an empathy that has to be presented versus it can backfire if right.
Yeah, because if you are an active listener and you're successful in that skill set, you start building trust. It allows you to connect at a deeper level with the people you're working with. You're going to minimize confusion because that's always ultimately the issue with communication.
Communication, yeah. With things, sometimes communication goes awry. It's confusion. Some of these things that you're mentioning were not done or emphasized or calibrated. So there you go.
Minimize confusion. You minimize mistakes. And really, it shows gratitude that I care and that I am grateful that you've taken the time to share that with me. So those are kind of some of the tools that were in this article that I just thought was fantastic that help. It reminds me because I'm not always an active listener. And it reminds me that I need to do that to be a better business development person for Stewart Insurance, to be a better licensed insurance advisor for Stewart Insurance, and provide better information for Real Estate Matters.
I think that's good advice for all of us listening, even if you're in your car right now. So, John, what else should we know?
Well, if they're in their car right now, they can go, when they get home, they can go to stewart.com/radio and listen again and take great notes.
That would be good advice. Stewart.com/radio.
And, we would like to visit with you about being properly insured, whether it be your real estate brokerage or property management firm. If you're an independent title and attorney agent or a lender, we can help you with your business insurance at 866-798-2827. If you're a family or individual and you're looking for some help with your home insurance or flood, wind, auto, motorcycle, vacant property or vacation property, we can help you as well, 866-798-2827. If you'd like to learn more about us, you can visit us at Stewart Insurance at stewart.com.
And the Women's Council of Realtors hotline is?
Well, that's brand new, but it's 866-798-2827.
Now established.
And
taking calls as of this moment.
Absolutely.
One more time, just for the fun of it.
866-798-2827.
Thank you so much, John Bramlett.
Always a pleasure, Bill.
As we continue, let's bring Amazing Amalia and Tracy Dillon back with the Perotti Group. Let's start, Amazing Amalia. What else do you want people to know before we close and land this plane?
Well, before we go, I just want to remind again that our group, the Perotti Group, does classes for agents, licensed agents, or upcoming licensed agents. And the class is called 2x4. So it's get2x4.com. And then I also have another class that I give myself, and it's called 12by12rei.com. And those two links would take you directly to our upcoming classes, and you can register. The Parodi Group always educates to empower.
That sounds awesome. And Tracy, before we close, what else do you want people to know?
If anyone is interested in learning more about Women's Council of Realtors, please follow us at www.wcrevents.org, or feel free to reach out to me directly. My number is 832-584-6916. We have a new members orientation coming up in March, as well as some CE training and panel speaking this coming week on Thursday.
What if I want to buy a house?
Please call me. My number is 832-584-6916, or you can email me at tracy@theparodigroup.com.
Tracy Dillon. Again, the number is
832-584-6916.
Thank you so much for being with us. And Martha Palmer, right quick, just a quick word.
Palmer.
Our business development officer, Martha Palmer, Champion's office. Martha, real quick, let's tell people a quick word about your office and where it is.
Hi, Bill. Thank you for having us on. I am with Stewart Title's Champions office.
Because they're champions there.
We are the
escrow-
champions.
Yes, that's
We
right.
are. Great escrow officers there with multiple years of experience, processors that have been around forever, bilingual processors, so we can take care of all of your real estate needs right there on your title side at Stewart Title Champions.
That's awesome. And the phone number there is?
Well, to reach me directly, 832-237-6996.
One more time, Martha Palmer.
832-237-6996.
And here she is, Elizabeth Stein. She brought Marty Langton to the show, and she is also helping Houston's Bravest. And Elizabeth, correct me if I'm wrong, the website is houstonsbravest.org.
Correct.
There you go. Quick word, Elizabeth Stein. Here you are. You're helping. You brought Marty forth. And also, it's always great to be able to lend a hand and help the firefighters and at least bring recognition of what they're doing, because I appreciate them all the time.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Thanks so much. Since I haven't been here. And
It's been a while.
It's been a little bit of a while since our last event, which we missed you, and we want you to put the date down and make it this year, because it's October 7th this year. And that's when we have our big fundraising event, which has gone very, very well. Last year, record money raised, and we are spending all of that money on equipment. It's hard to imagine that we need that much equipment, but we do. And
that's at the firefighters.
And that's the Red Hot Gala, Houston
coming up.
Firefighters, October 7th.
You know, the scary thing is October's going to be here pretty quick. That's what's scaring me.
That's right. A
But
lot of work.
We have a lot to do before then. Again, thank you so much, Elizabeth Stein. The website is?
HoustonsBravest.org.
And here he is, a last word on property tax as we land the plane, Ali Galan. Ali, what a show, huh?
Amazing show. Every time I come on the show, your
just
guests
never know.
inspire me to enter their line of work.
Exactly.
I even asked Mr. Marty, is there a volunteer firefighter group? And
That's right.
Unfortunately, there isn't. Otherwise, I would have signed up.
Well, you know, you think about the history of firefighting, I think it goes back kind of like insurance. I could be wrong on this, but Ben Franklin was very instrumental in many things. I think one of them was the firefighters, the volunteer fire department, the insurance company. He had some early roots, and even what was called then the lending library.
Nice.
So people can reach you, American Property Tax Service at
281-240-0101. Again, any extension can help you. Again, that number is 281-240-0101. And thank you so much again for having me.
The only thing that is certain are property taxes, and that we will be back next week right here on Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik, together with John Bramlett and a cast of thousands at Stewart Title and Stewart Insurance. We appreciate you listening, and we would appreciate being stewards of your real estate transaction. Simply go to Stewart.com. That's right, you can find out the closest office to you at Stewart.com, and you could see the amazing guests and hear them at Stewart.com/radio. Stewart.com/radio. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.